everyone. I'm so excited to be here today with Fondy Tam. She is a self-discovery and wealth creation coach. And today she has a really interesting story to share. Basically, she had gone through some health issues in the past, and she was able to heal herself outside of the conventional medicine structure and going inward. And well, she'll tell you more about this, but I love sharing these stories because you never know how that can impact someone. Someone who's struggling with something similar could learn from it, be inspired from it. I think the belief there is that, for me anyway, since I also had a healing journey that's outside of conventional medicine. And I felt very empowered to then go into nutrition. And now I'm doing, nutrition and health coaching. So to see someone who's done this, and now she's also a mindset coach, a self-discovery, wealth creation coach. It's a really, amazing alignment. So that's why I'm so excited here to introduce you all to Fondy and to share her story with you. Yeah. So Fondy, tell us a little bit about how you got started and, going back in time with your healing process. How did it begin? What happened?
Okay. So in 2003, I started my own jewelry business. I broker diamonds mostly. So, there's nobody in my family like this. I'm kind of branched out on my own. Yeah. There's no lineage of jewelers in my family.
You just like diamonds.
I like sparkly things. Yes, I do. I still do. But there's something that was the catalyst for me to become a coach. So in 2008, my dad and my sister passed away. And after my sister passed away of breast cancer at 51, it impacted me in a way that made me realize, we don't have forever. Mm-hmm. Right? We know what we've had, all the years that we currently have lived, but really we don't know how many we have left. Mm-hmm. So I was searching for something more. I knew there's something more I wanted to give as my own legacy. Jewelry is fun, mm-hmm. and I made a lot of people smile, but I needed something more. So I embarked on a personal development journey, and I met Bob Proctor. Oh. And I started learning his teachings on, he teaches a lot of wealth creation, but what he teaches can be used in every part of your life, mm-hmm. be it relationships, health, for youngsters who are in school, they could use it to improve their schoolwork. It's broad, mm-hmm. and it's the rules are applicable to everything, really. So being a person who loves to share things that I find amazing and wonderful, be it a restaurant, a lipstick, or whatever. If I find something that I love and I think it's amazing, I'll share it. So This is what happened with this information. I found this information. I thought, wow, I've been walking through life and I didn't know all this stuff. Imagine if I knew this when I was 15 or 16 and someone taught me, and my life would be completely different. Yeah. So that's why I became a consultant. And I continued my education. I keep upgrading, learning, reading. And I use this information that I learned through all my readings and education and personal development to use it towards my own health, not just for relationships and for my career and business, but it was impactful for my health. Mm-hmm. My first journey actually was in Vancouver many, many years ago with a gentleman named Doug Barron. He's kind of like Tony Robbins. Oh, yeah, but he's a psychologist. I learned some really good things with him, but I didn't realize that personal development is a lifelong journey. I studied with him and I made some major changes in my life, but I stopped for a while. And I guess, your old habits or some, if you're not watchful, you can develop bad habits or revert to old ones.
Absolutely. Yeah. With anything, anything in life, nutrition, fitness, everything, it has to be kind of sustained. It's a consistent thing that is a lifelong process. Yeah. You never reach there and say, I'm done.
No, and now I know that it's a lifelong journey because we experience things in life. We accumulate, I call filters, mm-hmm. not necessarily good ones. And we live through those filters and we need to reevaluate all the time.
Yeah.
those filters that automatically come in and we don't even know that they kind of seeped into our lives. But besides Bob Proctor, there's Louise Hay, and you have her book behind you, As You Can Heal Your Life. I love Louise Hay. She teaches something similar to Bob, where she talks about your belief system, how you think, your habits. So it's very similar, very spiritual. She's she's highly spiritual. Bob is spiritual too, but Louise is not, she's out there. She's completely open with how she does things and how she teaches and how you should be doing things at a very spiritual level. And Oprah. And I really love Oprah. But Oprah is also like a culmination of many, many teachers, like Eckhart Tolle, Wayne Dyer. She's had them all these teachers on her shows, and she's learned from them. Yeah. And she also teaches from them as well. So, and she's been through a lot of things in her life. And I really admire her. Despite all the traumas that she's been through, she's become an amazing woman, and she's contributed a lot to the world.
So how did you apply this for your health?
So let me start with the pre-diabetes. So that was like in 2014 or something like that. So I had been through some stressful times, and I was eating a half a pint of Haagen-Dazs chocolate ice cream every night after dinner. Okay. It was a soothing thing. I didn't know that at the time. I just was like, oh my God, this ice cream is amazing. I was eating. And I gained a lot of weight very quickly. So I went to the doctor and I said, I gained a lot of weight all of a sudden. I don't know. Is it like, I was already in my 40s, and I thought, is this perimenopause? Like, what's this, a hormonal thing? And she gave me a blood test and discovered that I was pre-diabetic. Okay. I was right on the edge. And I don't like taking medication because all medication has side effects, pharmaceuticals. Whether or not you feel them or not, there are effects. Yeah. So I was determined to get back into health. I wasn't going to go down into that diabetic world. Both my parents, my mom is diabetic, my dad was diabetic, but later on in life. But I think because they didn't monitor themselves, so they couldn't have a chance to correct it. So I went in and I was determined not to be a diabetic. I said, no, there's no way. And I'm not taking medication. So I did research. With that determination and belief that I'm going to be back to normal, I nurtured myself back to health through exercise and diet. And I changed my mindset. I said, whatever it was that was bugging me, I said, well, that's not worth it. Okay. A lot of stuff that we think about that bother us really is not worth it. Yeah. And I said, really? Am I really thinking about this and that all the time and letting that bother me, seeking soothing? And then now it resulted in me getting, into a pre-diabetic state. So it was, I swung my health back down some pendulum, and, I think we discussed this before. I had to swing myself back. So I was hardcore, no white sugar, flour, or any products like that was not like created in nature, and nothing refined really. Right. So fruits, I ate tons of fruits, by the way. I know a lot of people that say, oh, when you're diabetic, you should not eat fruits. Well, I wasn't diabetic yet, but they say you shouldn't be eating fruits because it's going to send you over the edge, and that doesn't happen. Well, actually, I think that the worst part were the refined foods. Yes. That's worse than the fruits. Yes. Yeah. So the white, exactly. Like the white sugars, the white rice, breads, pastas. Yeah. Because fruit, any whole food, even if there is sugar, it's packaged. It's packaged with minerals. It's packaged with fibers, and there's enzymes in there. So it doesn't have the same effect on the body as like white sugar and white refined carbs. So good for you. So you ate a lot of variety of fruits. And I would eat watermelon. I would eat a half a watermelon, no problem. I would eat apples, everything. Any kind of sweet fruit I ate, and I still corrected my pre-diabetic state within 3 months. That's amazing. That's really great. So how did you come to that realization that you're just going to eat more fruits and cut out the processed carbs? Did you read up on it? Did anybody help I did do research. My doctor didn't do any of that stuff. She goes, well, you're pre-diabetic, and she just wanted to monitor me. She didn't give me any dietary recommendations.
Okay.
So I went and did my own research, and I figured, I'm going to exercise. After I ate, there was a period of time after you eat, after I ate, that I became a little bit tired. So it was within like half an hour. And I was like, that was the time when I felt like I had to run in and start moving. So I wouldn't move right away. I gave my body a bit of a chance to, manipulate the food and start digesting a bit. And then I would start moving around, like moving on the spot. I needed to burn off whatever excess sugar. I had to help my body out. I didn't want my body just to process the sugar that was floating around. I needed to use it just to give my body a break after I ate.
Yeah.
I did that. A lot of fiber. I didn't reduce fat in terms of, let's say, what came with the meat. I would eat a lot of animal protein. Whatever fat that came with it, I wasn't particularly concerned with that.
Yeah. So you would have the skin, you would have whatever fat was part of the meat.
Yeah.
Well, healthy fats are, crucial. Like cholesterol is crucial for us to make hormones and for our skin health. And did you eat a lot of fish, or were there certain meats that you had to reduce?
No, I reduced the red meat.
Oh, you reduced red meat. Okay.
Yeah, I reduced the red meat. I did eat a lot of chicken and fish, sushi. I mean, not so much sushi. I mean, I would not eat so much of the parts with rice.
Okay.
I have more sashimi. But I really cut out white rice. I was eating brown rice. I remember buying brown rice. It was a Korean brand. And it was just a brand that I chose, but it could be any brown rice, I guess, for anyone who's on the journey. But it was almost like a keto diet, which I didn't know about at that time. It was mostly meat, and it was like maybe a third meat, and then the rest is like vegetables. I had some potatoes, potato, seldom white potato. I try to include a lot of color in my food.
Those are like the superpowers of the food. Having
a lot of kale. I was like into the kale thing.
Okay.
Kale.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's great. Well, you did mention that you were going through a lot of stress, which then led, to the whole comfort eating of ice cream and all that late night eating. How did you manage your stress level through your new healthy habits? Like how were you able to reduce that kind of the cravings and the stressful thoughts?
I was so shocked into the idea that I was going down that route of having diabetes, that the priority of my health trumped everything that I was ruminating over. So all the negative things that I was ruminating over that's causing me stress, I literally said, you guys are not worth it. Like these things are not worth it. Okay. And so when I stopped thinking about those things, it helped me for that journey. That's what I did. But my other health journeys, the two other ones that followed, I used other methods. So in 2019, I was going through a lot of things. So that was after my dad and my sister died, and my brother got diagnosed with cancer. And there's also the care of my mom. So, and the estate. There was a lot of stuff going on family-wise. And I developed this issue in my left eye where the retina was starting to detach, and I was seeing a dark circle. So when I open my eyes, I would see this. It was like someone put a sunglass lens on one eye, and it was just like round, and it would be gray. So I wouldn't see full color. I would see just gray in that area. So my ophthalmologist, when she diagnosed me with my condition, they don't know in the medical field exactly how it developed, but it usually develops in people with type A, stressed out, high-strung personalities.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But at the time, I was stressed. I was very, very stressed. And she goes, try to relax. So she did understand that there was an element of heightened stress that can bring it about. Like they know that they linked it to a certain type of personality trait, right?
Right.
So type A people tend to be high strung, easily
Yeah.
stressed, excitable.
Yeah.
So that explained my personality state at that period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to, all the people in my life that I knew were contributing to it, I told them to not contact me.
Oh, wow.
Literally.
This is like a really good exercise to do. And I'm sure not many people think of doing that. But how did you even do that? Like how would the conversation go? Like,
Oh, so I would call the people, or if they tried to contact me, I would say, okay, look, I've developed this condition, and it's believed that it's a stress related condition.
Yeah.
And I want you not to contact me because you contribute to my stress.
Oh my goodness. How was the reaction?
Well, they didn't have a choice, and I didn't care.
Okay.
To tell you the truth, because at that point I was like, I can go blind. Literally, I could go blind if I continue down that track. It was just going to progress and deteriorate the condition of my eyesight. So I said, no one is worth the condition of my sight.
Yeah. Oh
no
my
one.
Goodness.
So I would tell people.
That must have been such a scare. Like, I can't imagine.
Okay. Oh yeah, and I mean the idea, like I was driving and my vision was reduced because of that shadow that was created from the way that my retina was detaching, and so there's a focal point, right, where the light goes in. And, angles in the eye, any deviation can cause your sight to be reduced, any small deviation. And we know that for people who wear glasses and all that. Yeah. So there was this, I was scanned, my two eyes, and my right eye was normal, left eye showed the detachment, and the light was not entering in and reflected back normally. So I was getting that shadow that was coming. I was seeing that shadow. So I didn't want to do surgery. Definitely didn't want anyone cutting into my eye. And I didn't want to lose my eyesight. So these times in my life, I was very determined to eliminate the stressors. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm very much like most people. We tolerate a lot of things and we go about life and we allow stress to build up until something happens and our body says, hello, like you're pushing us over the edge. Mm-hmm. And something needs to change. So when we do develop these symptoms or these diseases, it's exactly what the word says, dis-ease. Your body is in dis-ease when you're constantly stressed. Yeah. And so for my eye, I just told everyone to back off. Everyone I knew that was contributing to my stress, I said, you can't contact me. I will not respond to you. I will not communicate with you because I need to heal. Mm-hmm. And really, I didn't care if they took offense. Yeah. I think that's such an important message, how you protected your space. You protected and guarded your sanity by setting this boundary, really. It was a desperate moment because I allowed a lot of these people into my space and to interrupt my peace. Yeah. So at that point it was, they say do or die, or else the expression, I wasn't allowing it anymore. Okay. So by the way, it happened in 1 month. I will tell you how I did it. So I got rid of those people that are causing me stress. And every night there's a state that you enter when you're between your consciousness and then when you go into sleep mode. Okay. And your subconscious mind is actually very available and open during that space when you're falling asleep. So I would begin a meditation where I wouldn't speak out loud because my partner's next to me. So I can't start speaking and saying, divine intelligence, all that stuff. I would talk to myself. Okay. And I would envision the two scans, the old scan with my eye, my left eye, with the condition, and then the new scan, the new picture would be both perfect. Both eyes are perfect. Mm-hmm. I would envision that. Then I would literally talk to my body. I would praise my body and tell it is amazing. You're an amazing miracle. Mm-hmm. And you were created by divine intelligence. Mm-hmm. And you know how to fix anything. Mm-hmm. You already have the blueprint. So whatever I need from you now to correct my eye, you know how to do. Whatever it is, you knew before to create me, from sperm and egg, you know how to redo. So I instructed my body to correct my vision. I envisioned cells, new cells coming in that are healthy and that were forming the perfect eye. And I was always in a state of calm. I was very calm. I would get myself in this almost blissful state where I didn't even feel the rest of my body, to be honest with you. It felt like I was in a floating state.
And this is just during the period of time when you're just about to go to sleep.
Yes.
Or would you practice that during the day too?
You can lie down. I always do my meditations when I'm at home lying down. Always.
Okay.
I mean, when like when you can take courses or sometimes you have like a guided meditation in a group, you're usually in a sitting position and that's okay. But I usually do mine lying down. I find I'm most relaxed when I'm lying down. Yeah. I'm a whole body to no muscles to be contracting or being used. So it's always lying down. And sometimes, I was guiding myself. I wasn't doing anything like with music or anything. I was talking to myself. We have divine intelligence within us, and this divine intelligence knows exactly what to do. So I would guide my body like that. And I was happy. I was always in a state of happiness and joy and gratitude. And I was completely confident that my eye was actually going to be healed. Oh, wow. That's great. Yeah. Yeah. So within a month, I went back for another scan and the doctor was like, wow, your eye's fine. It's perfectly normal. Again, she was, wow, we didn't need surgery. So was she, did she ask you how it happened, what you changed? No, she didn't. She just was, wow, okay. So we don't need surgery. That's it. Okay. She told me to always monitor myself and my eyesight. She was, if anything changes, to always go and see her immediately. Don't hesitate. So she said, if you see any changes or anything, she was, come see me right away, call in, tell them you're my patient. She's an excellent doctor in Montreal. You said it took you a month, right? So you saw gradual improvement, right? Like day after day, you must have noticed that shadow shrink or, eventually diminish. Yeah, my vision became brighter. That circle disappeared over time. Okay. It did disappear before I went back for my 30-day scan. So I was healed before a month. It probably took me 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, actually. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, it was pretty quick. And I made sure I looked, also, I always relied on food. I have to tell you this. I looked up things that supported the eyes. Right. So what specifically did you take supplements for that? I did not take supplements. I ate like carrots. I ate things with beta carotene. I ate blueberries. Apparently blueberries are really good. I didn't take any supplements. I ate a lot of fruits and vegetables. So you ate a lot of fruits. Again, a lot of colors. You focused on fruits that were good for your eye health. And then you remained in a calm state. Like you had affirmations, which is amazing because I think most of the work is energy work. When you're healing, most of it is belief that you will heal. Well, first off, you have to get yourself in a place where you're not stressed. Yeah. Right. So your body is in either one of two states, either stressed in fight or flight, and you're in a protection mode, or you're in a relaxed state where you can cleanse and restore your body. I always put myself in that state of relaxation and rest so that I can let my body do its thing. That's true for the third issue I had. Again, it's stressors, and I was with family. I was so stressed. I was starting to feel in my body like my mom had moved in with me. And my mom has she's a senior. She has her own issues, and I'm not equipped to take care of a senior citizen with health issues. And so it was causing me a lot of stress. And I started feeling the tension in my body, like tightening. I literally felt like my body was being wrapped in some kind of a band, or someone was wrapping saran wrapping, because my muscles were starting to really tighten in my body, not just my neck or my head, or, where people normally carry tension, was everywhere. With all the stress with my family and whatnot, taking care of my mom, it was building. And it was not a stress I could actually relieve myself of because my mom lived with me. Right. So the destruction was, I was always taking care of her. And I actually couldn't take care of other things because she was totally dependent on me. She didn't cook, clean, nothing. I was literally taking care of a dependent, like a grown child kind of thing.
Right.
And there were emotional aspects and stuff like that associated. So that added to it. And yeah, so my body, I felt, was getting tighter and tighter, and I was going for massages and then osteopath and stuff like that. And I don't know, I felt like the osteopath did some weird stuff to me. And I went into this state of mind that they did something that was irreparable. And went, it spiraled out of control. It was the stress of taking care of my mom, then the stress of my physical health literally bent me out of shape. You ever hear that term? Don't get bent out of shape.
Yes, I have, but I've never used it.
Yeah. I used to hear that, like, pain in the neck, you're a pain in my butt, or don't get bent out of shape. Those things are real.
Oh my goodness.
Literally, the stress and the muscle tension bent my spine out of shape.
Wow.
So I had issues here in my neck. I even went to a masseuse. She was, "Something wrong with your neck." I already knew this. She didn't have to tell me. So my neck was bent out. My back, my tailbone was elevated. It was, it's supposed to be tucked in. It was elevated. I went to see I had gone to see my doctor because the tension in my back was so bad that I remember trying to type on my laptop, and my arms just collapsed because my nerves were clamped on from my tension. And I thought, oh my God, I'm losing mobility. I had all these thoughts like, what the hell's going on with my body? I didn't know. Sorry. I just said, what the hell? But anyway, so, I thought that something was very wrong, and I was getting numbness in my legs, or down to my toes. And I said, and I thought to myself, I told my mom, I said, I don't know what's wrong with me. But I don't know if I can take care of you because there's something wrong with me. I don't know if I'm going to lose mobility, and there's nerve issues.
Okay.
And I got stressed out over those things, and it made me worse. But I did, again, the meditation. I did Louise Hay. I was listening to Louise Hay about 3 times a day.
Okay.
I would lie down, and I discovered Joe Dispenza on YouTube.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how his spine was in much worse condition than mine.
Right.
And he was told that he probably could never walk again and all this stuff. And he healed himself through meditation.
And visualization.
Visualization. So I went and did, again, my visualization stuff, body self-talk, guiding my body, telling my body that it has the power, the intelligence, and all the resources to correct itself.
Yeah.
And it's been a year now, actually, since that happened. And my back is like back to normal. I don't get the shooting nerve issues in my leg. I don't have, all my mobility is fine.
Okay.
But it's letting go of the stressors.
Did you do any acupuncture, or did you try doing yoga, like physically to stretch out your spine and your neck?
I did do some exercises. I was also looking at YouTube. I did see the physio. The physio did, was helping me. He told me I was tense.
Okay.
I said tension can cause this stuff in my spine. He goes, stress can do all kinds of things, he said. And when I let go of whatever it was causing me stress, that's when all the good stuff started happening.
Yeah. Tell us about what you had mentioned, like, your body is in either fight or flight or rest mode, right? So how did you know how to get yourself in rest mode when you're meditating? Did you just sit there and repeat, or was your body holding on so much that it was hard to relax?
It wasn't hard for me to relax. Interestingly, when I go into my meditation mode, I'm completely detached mentally in my thoughts from everything. I don't think about what I have to do tomorrow, what I did yesterday, who I'm upset with, or who said. I am completely focused on that moment.
Okay.
Where I am right there. And when your mind has that work to do, and when you are that focused, the outside world disappears for me. Like, for me, that's how
Okay.
it happens. So really go into yourself. So when I'm doing my visualizations, I'm totally into what I'm seeing and what's going on in my head. So I would tell myself, divine intelligence resides in me, and that intelligence created me. That intelligence will heal me, and it knows exactly what to do to repair me. And I would see cells. I would see into the microscopic level in my mind. Like if you ever done biology, you know what the cells look like. I don't know exactly what my cells look like, but I envision cells. So I was talking to my body.
Yeah.
I would praise my body, tell my body it's amazing, it's a miracle. It's really smart. It knows what to do. But always with the feeling of feeling good in that moment. Like I said, like I don't even feel my body on the mattress when I'm lying there. Right. And I'm totally into it. You can put on headphones if you need to and listen to some music. Get yourself in a space that's quiet. Don't let, if you have kids, don't let your kids disturb you. Sometimes my dogs would bark if they heard something, so it would jolt me, but I would get back in. And I don't limit myself on time. I have a friend who's trying to resume her ability to walk. Okay. She lost her ability when she was 18 months because she had gotten a cholera vaccine and she reacted very badly to the vaccine. So anyway, I was telling her, because she was like, okay, I'm gonna go meditate for 10 minutes. And I said, no, you don't put a limit on your meditation session. You go in and it could be 10 minutes that day and on a given day, or it could be a half an hour or an hour. I never put a limit on it. I just went and I did my work. I call it work. And it's always going in and detaching myself and removing myself from outside stimulus of all kinds.
So you were able to do this even while your mom was living with you? You were able, okay. So in parallel to the stressful situation, you were able to carve out time to focus on healing, like the inner work. Okay.
Shut the door. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because that's the part that I find some people would find it hard to be able to be in the situation and to heal at the same time. I took care of also an elderly, and it was very stressful. And I would also like hide myself in a room and just put on meditation music or videos, guided meditation. I listened to Master Co. Actually, like I don't know if you've heard of him, but he was also from Tony Robbins, UPW.
Oh, I think I do know. He's like a master energy worker.
Yeah, so that was kind of like the salvation of my day. It's like, okay, I got so much stress, I gotta like switch channels. But I didn't know that was my issue at the time. Is I couldn't really do it on my own. Just sit there and repeat the words. My brain was still like bombarded with a lot of thoughts. So I needed somebody else to just like interrupt my thoughts. I would put on his live that he would do like 2 lives a day, and just having him in front of me talking and then like interrupting the pattern of thoughts, I was able to like get into a better state, and that really helped. But I admired that you were able to build that muscle, like the muscle of just being able to like sit by yourself and guide yourself through it. Yeah, I would love to capture everything that you tell yourself, Fondy, like written, and that could be a wonderful offering for people, like just to follow.
I was thinking of recording actually meditation, exactly what you're talking about, to actually get people to do what I did.
Yeah, exactly.
And also to repeat to themselves what I said to myself. Yeah. A lot of people don't think they have the power to heal themselves, and they think they have to resort to an outside aid, like a doctor, pharmaceuticals, surgery. I tried to do that for myself first. I mean, if I broke my leg in like 10 million places, I think I'm going to need some help with that. Yeah. But I even know someone who was another coach, a friend of mine. She's a nurse practitioner. Okay. She broke her foot. Yeah. Fractured, not like, compound, but she managed to heal her foot without surgery, but she was told that she needed, and she decided no. Wow. She didn't want metal pins in her foot. Right.
We were talking earlier about you getting into a meditative state and saying certain affirmations that would guide your body to relax and get into a healing state. So yeah, what were some of the affirmations or statements that you would tell yourself?
Okay, so I want to preface the statements with this note that people need to keep in mind when they're going into meditation. Affirmations work when you believe in them,
Mm-hmm.
when you truly get into the feeling of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly believe that I was going to be okay. That's one of the keys, is the faith part, the faith element.
Yes.
So I was committed, totally committed, focused, and in full belief that my body was able to fix itself. Even though I added stress to it, I put a kink in it, I just interrupted and disturbed its natural harmony. I believe that it can do it and get itself back into health. So your bodies are amazing that way. So I want to empower people and let them know that everything that I am made of, you are made of.
Yeah.
And so when I go into my meditative state, so I go and lie down, doors closed, nobody's allowed to disturb me. It's quiet. I don't put anything in my ears to block out noise, but if anyone needs to, they can use earplugs or anything like this, or noise canceling earphones. And I would lie there and I would breathe to the point where I would make sure that my whole body's relaxed.
Okay. So just through deep breathing. Relax.
Yes, just through deep breathing first. You do the, what is it? The 4, 6, 8. Or everyone has a different method of how many seconds they want to inhale, hold, and release.
Right.
You do that a few times, and then you just let yourself breathe naturally after that. So you can feel your body. And I would go through, sometimes if it's a more stressful day, I would scan my body. So I learned this mindfulness body scan. So you just, casually feel your body and let yourself go through from the top of your head and release tension, consciously releasing tension. Sometimes you don't know what you're holding. You're stiff like this. You don't know it. And then when you're lying there, go, okay, let me go through from my head, my scalp, your jaw, your throat, your neck, the back of your neck, your chest, your shoulders, arms, your hands, if you're clenched, right down to your stomach. If you're holding your breath, your diaphragm's being held, your stomach, your hips, everything. Like we hold tension like in all parts of our body. You don't know where though in the moment. So I would do that throughout my whole body. I would just do a quick scan and make sure that everything is loose.
All right.
Good.
Yeah.
And I go into the state where it almost looks like you're looking in the back of your own eyeballs.
Okay.
And
what do you see?
It's usually light. I don't know if it's because of the light from outside of my eyeballs, like in the room, or it looks bright, or it could be dark. I think everyone will experience something a little bit different. Okay. But it's focusing in that inner space. And I would feel good. I would feel like, oh, I'm so thankful for my body. Thank you, body. You are so amazing. You're a miracle. You contain divine intelligence. This intelligence knows exactly what to do. It's divine and it's miraculous. It's magical. And I would go into the feeling and visualization of my body tissues, of new tissues being created, new cells, and there are new happy, healthy cells that are replacing the old stuff that's being released. And everything is, so last thing for my back, I was visualizing a perfectly aligned spine. And all my nerves, I would do some guided meditation on nerve healing or listen to them special wavelength audio on YouTube. You can go to YouTube and find these things. So I would listen to this and I would envision all my nerves very happy and healthy, intact and at ease. So no inflammation, no muscles clamping down on my nerves, because that's what was happening in my back. It was so tight that it was squeezing my nerves and blocking the transmission of the nerve impulses.
Yeah.
So I would envision everything being at ease, and I would feel my body at ease, and I would feel good. I would feel happy. I would feel safe.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was almost a dreamlike state. And so this is all happening in my brain like I'm watching a movie.
Okay.
And it's inside of me.
Yeah.
So I'm envisioning these parts of my body, the tissues, the bones. And I would talk to my body and be grateful to my body and telling it that it has the power to do everything that it needs to do.
Yeah.
And I give thanks. I say, thank you for my healing. Thank you for my perfect spine, or whatever it is you're healing. Thank you for my perfect kidneys. Thank you for my perfect eyes that I see so well with. And I have, when my eye was going, when I was healing my eye, I said, oh, I have perfect vision.
Right.
I see everything clearly and vividly. And I would say these things.
Yeah.
And I would thank my body for what I was trying to achieve. So I would claim my health for this moment. I would claim it now. So the tissues, they need time to catch up to produce the new cells. But I was claiming my new health in this moment that I had it.
Okay.
So I would say, oh, thank you for my perfect spine. Thank you for my perfect eyes that I see so clearly with. But it was a full belief. I would claim what I want. And it's now. It's not later. I would never say, thank you for my healthy body in a month.
Right.
That's coming in a week.
Right.
Or I expect it in whenever.
Yeah.
I don't say that.
Okay.
It happens. Tissue repair. There is a cycle for tissue repair.
Yeah.
Right. But even some people can heal in miraculous amounts of time. Like my eyes went in 2.5 weeks and it was already done. So you don't know. We don't fully understand as people how energy works. But some things can happen pretty quickly for people. I mean, I've heard people who actually corrected their eyesight just doing what I do. Like when wearing glasses and not wearing glasses.
Without actual manual manipulation, without
nothing.
Physically pressing, massaging, or
nothing. It was just a pure belief and I guess energy work or visualization. They managed to heal. I mean, I've heard stories of people. If you watch The Secret, there's a lady there who had stage 4 breast cancer.
Yeah.
And she did similarly what I did, was relieve all stress.
Was that the same lady who watched comedies at night? It was like laughing.
Yes, that's right. She goes, she knew that she couldn't introduce any stress to her body. And she repeated to herself, thank you for my healing. Thank you for, she goes, I was totally confident and convinced I was going to survive this. She said, she knew she was going to heal. She would say, thank you for my healing. Thank you for my healing. She claimed her health in the present moment, not say, okay, I'm going to be healed in a year. Thank you for my healing in 6 months. I'm going to be cured in 6. It was now. I'm claiming my health now.
Right.
Get rid of the stressors. So all stress is like the kink in the wheel, right? You have to get rid of the interruption. So she was like that. She eliminated stress out of her life. She made sure she was laughing. So another thing is have fun. Do things that feel good, that you like.
Yes.
In the interim. So besides being, in meditative state, you can't be in meditative state all day long.
Right.
So try to do things that are enjoyable, which she did. She watched comedies.
Yeah.
So she laughed.
Laugh.
Endorphins. Yeah. So she
laughed. Good hormones.
Yeah. So what can I say?
Claiming it for the now is so important too. It's like the I am affirmations. When you say I am healthy, I am beautiful, I am, a perfect health, I am perfect harmony, like the I ams. I used to do that with my kids actually at that time. They would just like repeat the I ams, but having that affirmation for the present, not like I will be, one day.
Yeah, because I will be means that you don't know when that will is. You don't. It could be never.
Yes.
You could die before it ever happens. But claiming it means I'm taking it right now, and your body is just going to catch up.
Yeah.
You just have to give it time to catch up. But it's mine.
I remember Suzanne Summers. I love Suzanne Summers, by the way. And she read a couple of her books. She's a breast cancer survivor. She said that she would do the same kind of thing too. When she had breast cancer, she imagined the cells were listening to her, like they're right outside her mouth kind of thing. Whatever she tells them, they'll like propagate the message to the entire body. So have to be very careful what you're thinking, because all the cells are listening. So she would wake up and right away say certain things, feel certain things right in the moment. And it affects the whole day, because the cells are kind of like, okay, here's the message for the day, setting the intentions, that giving you this message. And I guess that's kind of similar what you're visualizing, the cells being there, cooperating, renewing itself. And it's funny how you said happy, healthy cells. That's good. I like that.
Yeah. I always try to envision that everything that's coming in is like happy.
Yeah.
Happy, and if it helps, sometimes I add light. Like there's no, in the moment, I do what I feel compelled to do.
Mm-hmm.
Compelled to visualize or say. And yes, the cells are listening. All these things that we learn, I've heard from like other teachers. Like there's Dr. Bruce Lipton.
Yes.
Okay, and Greg Braden. Like those two men are really amazing when it comes to health.
Mm-hmm.
So if your listeners want to dive in and listen to them, they're really good. I learned a lot of stuff from them as well. And a lot of things about Bruce Lipton, what he teaches is about epigenetics and what you claim as hereditary.
Mm-hmm.
And is not necessary. So if my parents have diabetes, I was just saying to myself the other day, I said, you know what? So what, they had diabetes? I don't have to have diabetes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's how your genes express themselves through your thoughts, through the environment, what, lifestyle that could affect the outcome. Yeah.
Yeah. I can suppress or I can activate. It's up to me how I live.
Right.
So I said, no, I don't have to have that.
Yeah.
My dad had congestive heart failure. My grandma, my paternal grandmother, had a large heart when she was 40 something, was told by her physician that she was going to die by the time she was like 50 something, 60. She lived to like 92.
Amazing.
Yeah. I don't know how she managed that, but I guess she didn't buy into it.
Yeah. You know what? There is this nocebo effect, right? Just like the placebo effect, right? But it's the opposite. So if you really believe it's the end of you, and you really believe that in 1 year or in 2 years, or there's like a time that you will eventually die from a certain disease, then, it's the same as the opposite, where you believe you're going to heal no matter what. Then, you have that negativity in the body, you have the fear, and the outcome will just sort of match your expectations. Yeah, I don't know how what benefit there could be by diagnosing someone and giving them a date. Maybe for some people they think, oh well, at least it gives you time to prepare, time to tell your family. But at the same time, it could have a very negative effect, because it's like a death sentence. It's like, okay, well, this is the day, and then you set your expectation, and your whole body just gives up. It's like, okay, well, why would I bother healing if you really believe this is going to happen? And you have constant reminder that it's going to happen. So I don't know. I don't really think it's such a good idea to set a date. Like, I know some people may think it's helpful, but that's up for debate. But for me, I would totally ignore that and live the best that I could, and use the time, whatever it is, to feed myself well, to exercise, to feel good, to feed my mind well. Mm-hmm. Just like your mouth is the gateway for whatever comes in your body, your mind is also, kind of like what I think of it almost as a conductor with a huge, orchestra. You have all these instruments are all watching out for the conductor. And if he's going crazy, they're all like, all the instruments are like all chaotic and not making good music at all. But yeah, so your mind is really like that kind of conductor, like telling your body what is it to make beautiful music, what the soothing music, healing, happy music. And it's really a choice.
Yeah. Everything you're saying is very true. Remember Bob Proctor had mentioned, when I was learning about conscious mind, subconscious mind, and how we are on autopilot from all of our conditioning. Mm-hmm. And he goes, your body is the slave of your mind. So whatever happens in your brain, your thinking, it immediately affects your body.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for example, when you're nervous or something, let's say you're going to an interview or you're getting married, I don't know, whatever it is, you get the stomach knots, or some people want to throw up, or you sweat.
Yeah.
These are manifestations of your thought process. And I know that conventional medicine doesn't put a lot of, importance on people's lifestyles generally. I mean, you go to the doctor and you say, oh, this hurts, that hurts, and they give you something to soothe it. But they don't ask you, so what have you been going through? And maybe a little bit better now. I find it's a little bit better now, but in the past, if you have a problem in this area in your body, then you go see a specialist and then they patch you up.
You had 3 main incidences where you healed yourself. Was that the contributing factor to why you wanted to go into coaching? Or how did you decide to do it?
Well, my coaching, I've been called to lead many times in my life.
Okay.
I was reluctant because I had other things I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to do something where I positively affected people beyond, jewelry's fun. I won't deny that jewelry's fun, but it didn't bring on the same kind of fulfillment that I was, that I get out of coaching.
Right.
When people have wins, when I see them come out of their misery, when they're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, I think I've done well. I've done my job.
Yeah.
That's what fuels me. I don't need, there's nothing I need outside of my work to keep me focused, keep me inspired. The people that I help inspire me through their improvement, through their wins, through their advancements.
Right.
Yeah.
What kind of challenges have you seen more often than with your clients? What do they come to you for more frequently?
Everyone comes from different backgrounds. I mean, there's some people who are struggling financially. Some people are struggling in relationships. There are people who are wealthy and there's miserable.
Right.
So for me, true wealth is having a balanced life and having good relationships, doing well in your work, everything, your health, everything needs to be balanced and in harmony. And not everyone has that. Most people don't have that, actually. A lot of people are coming to me are living on autopilot. So we generally, I fell into that too. You go to school, you get married, you do all that stuff. And then you go, oh, well, okay. And now what? So I was supposed to be blissfully happy if I followed all those rules.
Yeah, they don't teach you that in school. But
no,
it's very tactical. You accomplish this, accomplish that, but then the emotional aspects, it's not really, the self-development, the soft skills, like how, to rebalance your life, all of that you encompass in your program and how you, coach your clients. Like you said, I wish this could be taught earlier in life.
Yeah, we're always a work in progress, right? So when you get to one level, you want to get to the next level. So once you've achieved something, you want to go bigger, more, so the self-discovery part is actually looking within.
Yeah.
And acknowledging and appreciating the good and the bad parts.
Okay. Know yourself as well.
Yes, know yourself. A lot of people don't know themselves because we've been following suggestions from society. Well, not just suggestions, but a lot of social constructs that we think that we need to follow in order to live a fulfilling life, right? Like getting married and whatnot, following that road. But not everyone is made to be a parent. For example, I know someone who did go down that road, went to school, got married, had kids, and discovered, wait a minute, she loves her kids, don't get me wrong. But she didn't like the married life. She didn't want the married life. She didn't want the mother life. And not everyone wants that, and it's okay.
Yeah. And not everybody wants to be out there working. They want to be at home too. I want to be a housewife, which, ironically, a lot of times there's judgment now. Judgment on, are you going to work too early? Or are you staying home too much? Or are you going to get out there?
This is the thing. Yeah. It's exactly what you're talking about is other people chiming in and telling you what you should be doing all the time.
Yeah.
Right. You should get married. You shouldn't get married. You should have kids and giving you timelines when you should do things. And you're too old and there's so much of that stuff.
Yeah.
Everyone's got an opinion about how people should do things. Like I at one time bought a very large home because I wanted it as an investment. Okay. And people would come up to me and say, I was living by myself.
Okay.
And they didn't understand why I was living by myself in such a big place. But it was an investment.
Yeah.
It was a business for me, a business transaction.
Right.
But people felt like it irked people, it touched people the wrong way.
Right.
If they felt like it was flashy, or I was trying to, it was nothing, it was a personal business transaction. But people interpret things from the way other people live and bring it onto themselves. And when they don't like it, they spit it in your face. And this is how everything works. Like you're saying, you're being judged. Like women who decide they want to go back to work when they have kids, and then they get judged by at-home moms. At-home moms get judged by career women. Go, you're not doing anything for women's rights and equality by staying home and being a housewife. You're taking us back like 50 years and all this stuff. Who cares? Like, does it really, like, everyone needs to be allowed to live how they want to live. And so this is how a lot of people end up coming to me, because they're drowning. They're drowning in that. I don't know myself. I don't even know what I want, because I've been living my life according to how everyone thinks I should live. And that brings apart like anxiety, depression. It ruins marriages and relationships, because people, they don't know what they're frustrated with sometimes at first. They start behaving in ways that are destructive, because they're having all this angst and all this internal battle, because they're fighting against their true self, is fighting against all the conditioning. So they going into the inner work is, okay, what has been working for me? What has been working for me? What hasn't been working for me? What don't I like? What habits have I adopted that aren't really mine, but passed down to me by my parents, or I learned from my husband or wife or whatever. Yeah. And we need to get rid of all of that stuff. We need to get rid of all of that junk. And it takes a huge amount of courage. But by the time people come to me, it's like when I have my health issues, I call it the fire under your ass. Yes. It's that final bit that you can't tolerate it anymore. And you have to just jump and take action and relieve that pain. So yeah, that's generally what happens with the people that I help out with.
Okay. So is that like two separate branches of what you do, the self-discovery, and then you have the wealth creation, or usually it's mixed together?
It is mixed together, but the self-discovery is the first step.
Okay. So it's people who are they're looking for financial success and they're unhappy with their situation, with their
sometimes people don't know they're unhappy.
Okay.
And they think all they want is money. Right. And they think money is going to fix everything. Honestly, money is great because it does make things easier. Yeah. Right. It's easier to suffer in a nice house or with better food or whatever. Yeah. But it's because there are people that are wealthy that are very miserable. Right. Or it doesn't mean that it's going to buy you happiness. It buys you ease and comfort in many areas of your life, but it doesn't guarantee you fulfillment. So, but most people do come in wanting more freedom. Generally, it's more freedom. Okay. Freedom to do what they want. So not doing a 9 to 5, not working for someone else. They had something what they considered was a hobby, but was really a passion that they turned into a thriving business. But they were afraid to before, for whatever reason. Afraid that they financially probably wouldn't make it. Fear that they're going to be judged for being insane for trying what they're doing. Or fear of failure, all kinds of stuff. And there's a lot of these things that bind us. But if I tell people, I said, if I told you couldn't fail, what would you be doing? Yeah.
Right. The world's a possibility, right? Yeah. There's no limits.
Yeah. And there's also an element of self-love in there, and boundaries. A lot of people, by the time they reach out, their self-esteem's kind of been trampled on. Okay. It is very hard to be confident and have self-esteem when you've been self-sabotaging for a long time. So when you don't have boundaries and you let people come in and dictate your life, you do in a sense have sold yourself out right? You don't listen to yourself. Every time you say yes to something that you don't really want, you're saying no to yourself. So let's say it's your child. Again, I'll bring up a child, and your child says, no, ma'am, I don't want it. I don't want that. I don't want that. But you keep forcing them. You keep forcing them. And your child becomes angry and frustrated, and your child doesn't actually have the confidence in you to protect them. Because you're just putting them out there every time someone asks something of them, and you keep shoving them out there and saying, oh, just do it. Just do it. Make me happy. Make them happy. So it's always about everybody else and never about you or your child. And your child, for whatever reason, doesn't feel comfortable, but you keep forcing that on your kid. So your kid becomes angry at you. Your kid doesn't trust you. And everything that child may feel, you actually develop those feelings towards yourself. So then there is a self-esteem issue and a confidence issue, because you don't have it for yourself, because you don't protect yourself. You don't let yourself truly express.
Yeah.
And that brings up a lot of issues.
Wow, that's a really great, exercise to go through, this whole process of figuring out, what it is that you want to do, and starting to exercise the muscle of saying no to things you don't want to do. And I think your example of the inner child, that inner small child, is so accurate too, because I find like a lot of times people have these self-sabotaging habits or beliefs from childhood. And so they kind of carrying it into, adult life, and they don't really reflect on why are they believing in this? What happened, so that they couldn't say no? What's the root of that? And before actually wanting to accumulate wealth, I think this is a more important step, because once you know, then the way you accumulate wealth will be aligned with your principles, with your beliefs, and you're going to do it in a way where you'll be happy, and it'll actually be more easy that way once you establish the first part, which is knowing yourself.
Yeah, deservability actually plays a big factor.
What was that?
Deservability. Deservability. Like if you deserve, people have a hard time feeling they deserve.
Yes.
So, you can study, the law of attraction and do all this stuff, but if you don't feel like you deserve it, that is a resistance right there.
Yes. So how do you work on the second part, that wealth creation, the bringing yourself to attract the wealth that you believe you deserve?
So you brought in a very good point, where the self-awareness and the self-love, when you correct those issues, when you develop self-love and self-appreciation, deservability naturally comes along with it. And then with that, we go into the faith portion of wealth creation. So belief in yourself translates into the belief of success.
Okay.
But to get there is a series of learning, and a lot of people struggle. I mean, these are things that I had to do for myself. I mean, I had different times in my life where everything was great and I had it all, everything was working for me like clockwork. I mean, literally, whatever I wanted to achieve was just happening. Whatever I wanted was showing up. And then things would happen that would throw me off course. And then, because I didn't know what I was doing then. I didn't know how I got to those places. Yeah. And then when I got thrown off course, I didn't know how to get myself back on course.
Right. You were doing it subconsciously. You're kind of doing it subconsciously or something,
Yeah. So I was I was unaware exactly what my techniques were, but now I understand.
Over 10 years ago, when I was doing yoga, I guess it was 15 years ago, I had done a lot of journaling and, a lot of this stuff. Like I became a yoga teacher and I was doing all of this physical, spiritual work. Then I went back into corporate. And now when I read those journals, I'm like, oh my God, I actually knew a lot back then. I forgot. How did that happen? Because you have to do it like you said, it's a daily thing. It's like exercising a muscle. You can do it and have great biceps and then not do anything for a year and muscles will become depleted. It's the same concept. You got to just do it every day. You can't just like overwater a plant and then not water it for a whole month, or brush your teeth 10 times a day and then not brush for a month. It doesn't work that way. So I literally just was cleaning up my office and I was looking at these journals. I'm like, I actually knew all this stuff. I just didn't practice it like every day, or I didn't really get into the habit of like refreshing my mind and because those old programming can come right back.
Yeah. And, if you don't ask for things in life, you won't get it. If you don't expect more or want more and ask for more, you won't get more. It's just like that. A lot of people live their lives very routinely, and a lot of people don't attempt things because they don't believe that it's possible to begin with. Nobody tries anything they think that it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Like when you're taught that you don't deserve something and you're not good enough, and you're not wanted, it plays havoc on a person. A person will tend to shrink and not try to achieve things. I mean, it's a very sad thing, and that it could be true for conditioning on anybody. Growing up in my family, like, I don't know, it's a very weird thing. In my family, there was a very sexist upbringing.
Okay.
But the girls were expected to equally get educated like the sons were, but like monetary stuff and inheritance and stuff that it's given to the sons. So I mean, I could take that, I could leave it, and I choose to leave it. I don't care. Like, I know that they have their own conditioning and they had their own ways of thinking,
right?
Antiquated and insulting in many ways, but I'm making my own path. And I think everyone needs to go there. Everyone needs to make their own path. I am 1 out of 6 kids, and I've been told that someone was my brother-in-law's cousin. So I'm friendly with my brother-in-law's cousin. She goes, you're different. She goes, you're different.
That's a compliment.
Different as in I don't subscribe to a lot of, I guess, stereotypical women things, I guess, whatever. I mean, I was always athletic. When I was in high school, I was always on a sports team. It was volleyball for me. And my mom told me I should have been born a boy because I go out too much.
Okay.
And I didn't care. I got my driver's license as soon as I was the right age.
Yeah.
For it. I behaved what my parents would consider male behavior.
Okay. But what rank were you in the family?
I was fourth. I'm fourth.
Fourth, okay.
Fourth child, but there's like 2 sets of us. So the first set was born in Hong Kong.
Okay.
And it's the first set, they're like 1 or 2 years apart, and the second set's the same thing. But between the 2 sets, between me and my sister before me, were like almost 6 years.
Okay.
So there's like 2 different generations of kids.
Yeah.
When my parents came, my mom was pregnant with me when she came to Canada in 1973. So you know how old I am. And then like following me were my brothers and sisters, very quick succession, 1-2 years, whatever apart.
Okay.
So we're like Canadian born and then, Hong Kong born.
Must have been were there 2 different mentalities between the first group and the second group?
I guess it could have been like the older kids had, I guess, a different kinds of responsibilities opposed to us younger ones. I was the older of the second set.
Right.
So I had a weird kind of dynamic. I was an older sister in a sense because I was a leader of those younger 3. Because there was such a big age gap that by the time my sister was like in high school, I was like in elementary. Yeah. So there was developmental gap and all of that. And so I'm kind of like an older sister and a younger sister at the same time, and a middle child. So I like all the hats. But yeah, I am very different from everybody else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it seems like everybody has certain roles in the family too. So there's certain people that want to keep tradition. There's almost like, okay, I don't know. I've seen it like sometimes there's certain siblings that are more traditional. It's almost like their role was to guard the old rituals and beliefs. And then there's always like the rebel of the family who's like, no, I want to be different from all of you guys. I want to try different things. And But I think that each one of us, we don't need to be conformed to any path at all. Like whatever you want to do, you go on your own and you learn it, and believe in yourself, believe in your own power, and keep what's good, and whatever is toxic, well, let that go. I mean, make the decision to just learn from whatever is handed down to you. But whatever doesn't serve you, just let it go and replace it with something better.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious, actually. Maybe you can give us a little bit of tidbits about yourself.
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, I mean, I was in corporate for over 20 years. I was in telecom, and this actually would be a long conversation, the Fondy, but I'll tell you a little bit. And basically, I was in system engineering. I did training, certification. And before I went into that, my mom passed away from cancer. And I had actually wanted to go into medicine. But I kind of lost all faith. I went into anatomy actually in McGill, and my whole path was in health sciences at the time. But from that experience with her taking radiation, chemotherapy, surgery, and just seeing the rapid deterioration, I'm convinced also that the treatment was what really killed her. It wasn't really the cancer itself. And there must have been a more humane and gentle way to heal. But at the time, nobody knew how to treat her. In fact, we went to China for her nasopharyngeal cancer at the time because it wasn't common here, but it was more common in China. So, but we still took treatment here with her. And even the oncologist at the time, he was like, there's very little chance because we don't know much about this. But so she suffered a lot. And when she passed, I was going through a very dark time. And I still went into anatomy because that was kind of like what I wanted to do. But I was bitter with the whole medical system. And when I saw how people were just memorizing, there was so much memorizing. There was not a lot of critical thinking. There was not a lot of questioning. Like, how does the body work as a whole? What's the energy behind it? Like if there's one symptom, it's always about just treating and pacifying that symptom. But what about the root cause? So many things that during the experience were unknown. What caused her cancer? We don't know. What caused this tumor? I don't know. What caused the all of this stuff? We don't really know what causes it, but here's how we would treat it. So I just, and there was absolutely nothing on nutrition at the time. If I were like looking back, she didn't eat the type of food that I would want someone to heal with eat. She didn't have those green juices, those supplements, the whole foods of what you just described. It was mainly, traditional Chinese food, but a lot of carbs, sugar. She had oatmeal in the morning with lots of sugar, but it wasn't something we were taught. So we just ate whatever she would normally want to eat. So then I decided, okay, well, my role, like as an older sibling at the time, it was just my dad, who he was going to the casino a lot at the time. So he was not, he was going through a big, major depression, a lot of guilt. He didn't work. We had owned a couple of properties and we just like liquidated them at a huge loss because he just couldn't take care of, managing properties. And so we ended up moving around, like renting, and then finally settling into this home. And having two younger siblings, I just thought all I want to do is get a job, get a house. And, the fastest way is to go into computer science. That's what I thought, because that's the booming industry at the time. Right. So I just got into that program and I started working at Nortel and we bought a house and it was great. And that's when I just continued working in telecom. And then my friend got sick with cancer like about 5 years ago. And she was diagnosed like around 7 years ago. And she was in her 40s and I was in my 40s. We were very close. And it kind of triggered back that whole experience of when I was younger and helping my mom. And it was almost like a parallel experience because my friend was treated at the Jewish General. She went to chemo, radiation surgery, and everything was very similar in my experience. The only thing is that I knew better, like in terms of nutrition, and I did more research. Like back then, we didn't have the internet. Like back, I don't know how, when I was still like 19, so many, many years ago. But now there's more. So I did research and I learned a lot more about nutrition. And I applied that to myself, and I reversed the ovarian cyst and different health issues. And so when my friend passed away, I still remember that moment. We were at the Jewish General and she looked just like my mom looked like toward the end. And I was just sitting there, and the doctor had come in and told the family that she was going to go into palliative care, that there was nothing they could do for her. And I was just like, wow, why is this happening after like more than 25 years? Nothing has changed. There's still chemo, radiation, the same kind of thing. Like, why are they not telling her about nutrition, about detoxing, about supporting her liver and her kidneys? And she was still drinking the Ensure, like my mom had just been drinking Ensure that's filled with like corn syrup and high fructose corn syrup and God knows whatever GMO stuff they put in. And I just like had like a breaking point where I thought, I don't want to use my voice and to propagate Wi-Fi networks and talk about like getting everybody hooked onto the internet. I want to use it to help people. I want to help people, like just empower them to make certain choices that could help their body. If I can prevent one person from going through this type of experience, like that would be worth the whole thing. So that's why I decided to quit my job and go into nutrition. I took a certification course in holistic nutrition, and then I started practicing in the end of 2020. So that's where I'm at.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm glad I made that decision. I love it. And I love seeing people learn and then, empower themselves and take control and know that there's alternative, know that there's not one solution that fits all. There's so many options, so many things that nature gives us, through vegetables and spices and herbs and teas. Like there's so many options that you can do preventatively, but then also when you're sick, you can still do so much to reverse, the symptoms and get yourself back to optimal health. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
So I'm curious for you, when you were curing yourself of your ovarian cyst.
Yeah.
What was your mindset like?
So it happened twice. The first time I had a cyst, I was like 21, and I got the laparoscopy. I had it removed. It was on my left ovary. And prior to that, for several years, and maybe it was also through the time that my mom was sick, had a lot of stress. I wasn't eating well. And so I had a lot of hormonal issues. But after they removed the cyst, I was in my, I was 21 at the time and was still studying. So I thought that was the end of it. Now that it's removed, I'll have more normal periods, I'll have like less pain. But then I had my second child and the cyst came back. So now this time it was like 12 centimeters in diameter. And my obstetrician said, no, we should stop breastfeeding. You should have surgery. And I didn't want to stop breastfeeding. And I told myself, I don't think that if I took surgery, that would be a good solution, because I already did surgery. So it's probably going to come back. If I don't change anything, I'll probably need to do surgery again in like a few years. So why would I want to just stop breastfeeding and take that route? So, and I remember her getting quite upset with me when I was like, well, I think I should wait. I want to breastfeed. And she said, and I had so many questions for her, like, why do you think that occurred? Why do you think I got this cyst twice? Like, based on your experience. She's like, I don't know, but I know you should get it removed. So at some point we were walking out of her office into the waiting room, and she was going to call on the next patient. And I still said, well, no, I don't think I want to do this. And she said, I thought we agreed that you were going to get surgery. And I'm like, we agreed? Who's we? Like, no, it's me. It's my body. And that was the end of it. I was like, you're fired. So I just walked out. But I remember driving home, like crying, thinking like, shoot, what if this is going to be cancerous? Like, I don't want my kids to grow up without their mother, And so I started praying, and I started doing research, and I looked at my food, my diet, and I said, what did I eat every day that could be bad for me? Because you're doing this every day to your body. It's like an assault. What am I doing every day? So the common stuff was like all the refined foods, the sugar. So I started doing that, just getting rid of sugar, getting rid of the carbs, and then doing yoga. Like I got into the yoga certification, and that helped me calm my mind. That was really what turned things around. Just, helping first to identify my habits and what wasn't serving me, to slowly strip it away. And it's a test on your body. You can test for 30 days to not have dairy, to not have sugar, and slowly remove those things. And then I learned about iodine, because when my friend got sick with cancer, I started watching the Truth About Cancer series. Mm-hmm. And they talked about women with breast cancer, a lot of times they have low iodine, and they could have issues with their their teeth, their dental health, because, and it's a combination, because if they, and it's a lot of times this diseases could be multifactorial too, like toxins, stress, lack of good nutrition, a lot of different factors. And so I started looking at those factors. Okay, so what's the toxins in my environment? So I got myself a water filter. I got rid of certain cleaning products. So I really did like tactical work as well as mental work. So I took iodine as a supplement. And then slowly it started to shrink, and eventually it was gone.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I did massages too on that side to increase more blood flow, because I wanted to bring attention to that side. So I was like, my body might not even realize there's something off there because it's been so long, So I'm like, okay, so I would meditate. I remember doing that in bed, meditating, visualizing more blood flow going there. And then literally with my hands, I brought my hands to my knee, like on my left side, and then brushed upward toward my hip to bring more like circulation upward. And I would heat up that area, massage it, and visualize to say, okay, that's the spot. That's where it is. And look and think of it being gone. Like, what's the ideal image? Like the cyst is no longer there, the ovary is healthy. So I did that too. Yeah.
Yeah, you did it too.
Yeah. But I didn't know, I couldn't really pinpoint exactly what worked, because I did so many different things at the same time, right? But it was all of it. It was all of it combined, I think.
It is.
So Fondy, tell us what's coming up and how people can find you.
One of my major projects, actually, which spurred this, was my grieving process for my dad and my sister.
Okay.
And, it was a very, very, well, you know what it's like to lose family member.
Yes.
And a mom is like a really big deal.
Yeah.
So it changes you.
Yes.
And I felt like I had to change it into something positive. I had to do something. It was a very isolating, I have like 5 other siblings, but I felt like I was the only one who was like really, everybody grieves in their own way.
Right.
But I was the closest to her. She was at home, and my brother-in-law had taken off time at work to take care of her. I did visit her a lot. Mm-hmm. And I did watch her deteriorate.
Yeah.
And so the grieving process for me was very difficult because, I had lost my faith in conventional medicine. She was treated by a doctor at the Jewish General Hospital that wasn't even a breast cancer specialist. I don't even know how that happens. But apparently she's not the only breast cancer patient that was treated by that doctor. Anyway, it was a very hard process. Like how she died also. She went through the sedation process, which I didn't think was a good idea. She had a choice. So I was very upset with how the medical system, they gave her the options, but they didn't take only her consideration. It was purely her consideration that they should have kept. So anyway, I was very angry about all of that. How the treatment didn't help her. I think the treatment was what did her in the end, and made her suffer.
Yeah.
More than she needed to, or she should have.
Right.
And so my grieving process was very difficult because I had harbored all of that, all those negative feelings towards how she passed away.
Right.
So I'm writing a book about my process, what happened, what I went through. And I did a lot of meditation and the stuff that with my eye was happening during that time.
Yeah.
And just to help people not feel so alone and how to come out, how to go through it, walk through grief, because grief is something you want to avoid. It's like, how do I get rid of this? Like, is it going to last forever?
Yeah.
There are these ideas and these thoughts, and it was a very physical process for me. Like, I don't know, some people seem to go through it very easily, maybe because they don't talk about it. We don't know, but I want to let people know, like, there are a lot of physical symptoms that come with grief. It's very exhausting. There are physical pains, all kinds of things that come with grief. And there are a lot of mental things that also come with grief. There are some points I thought I was going nuts, literally. And I've read other people. I myself, I joined like some grief groups, and there are people who are writing about their grief process. And, one lady said, is it normal to feel like you're losing your mind? Right. It's not your daily normal, but it's normal for what you're going through. Mm-hmm. Right. Your brain literally actually is damaged. you actually suffer brain damage. It's not
Mhm.
a,
I
it's
guess there's
no,
trauma.
yeah, it's trauma.
yeah.
And there's a process of healing that your brain actually needs to go through in this process. And
Right.
I've read that, they don't think that your brain is ever going to go back to 100, pre-death and loss. You know me, I like to believe what I like to believe.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I believe that, no, I reject that idea.
Yeah.
And I completely, embrace the idea that every part of me can be healed.
Yes, we can be regenerated.
Yeah. So I want people to know, that, so this is where I started. So one of my programs is for grief, for people in grief. And somewhere they can go to process it. So they're not so alone in it. Grief is, even though, like I said, I had all this, like, family members, siblings are going through it, but it feels like such an isolated experience.
Mm-hmm.
If people aren't going through it at the same depth as you are, you feel alone. Like my other siblings did not go through it in the same depth as I did. They didn't know a lot of the details as well, so that they didn't see her. I was the only person in the family that saw her going through, her deterioration, and when she was dead. No one else in my family. No, I was able to say goodbye to her. I was able to, write her letters and throw me letter. It was like a good closing. And my other siblings didn't get that. She didn't want that. I was, the closest. So anyway, I want to offer people a place where they're seen and heard, to offer a safe space to be miserable. Like, because oftentimes people, we hide. I hid my grief. Nobody knew what I was going through. And I was like, this is like, it makes it more difficult. So I want to give people that opportunity to be like, yeah, I feel like shit today. And, it's okay to feel like shit today. And it's okay.
So that's one program that's
one program. And then there's the mini program for the self-discovery and self-exploration. That is also part of like my major program. But when some people aren't ready to go full in, so they need to start small. Just kind of dip their feet in and take a look. Some people are like, no, I'm ready. Like I'm going all in, and I'm changing stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what the big program is.
Right.
So that one is like a full on, you do a self-exploration. You do there's a lot of studies. There's a lot, there's readings, meetings and teachings.
And this is all through video, or you like videos and books?
There's workbook, there's videos, and there's live meetings with me.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's some people want one-on-one, and that's fine. I do one-on-one as well. There is something to be said about group healing and group advancement. There, you can learn from each other, support each other. But then there are also people who don't want to be in that environment. People who just want to be one-on-one. They're very specific about what they want to be helped with. And or they're just private. They just don't want to be in that environment. They don't want people to know that they're doing this work. Yeah. And that's okay too. So I'm reworking all of my website and reworking everything so I can better serve.
And what's your website?
Oh, well, there's going to be a few of them.
Okay, well, I'll list them under the video.
You can find me on Facebook first. Find me on Facebook first, and I'll lead you in through my Facebook into my groups. Sure. Okay, so what's your Facebook handle? If you were to type it in, just type in Fondy Tam. Okay. Yeah, and then fondytam.diamondlife on Instagram. Awesome. I want to thank you, Cindy. Really, this is a great opportunity to talk to you, and also to get to know your story. I didn't get your full story before, and I'm really moved by how you got into and why you got into what you're doing, and you're helping me because you're doing it. Because everybody, she's my nutritionist. Very funny, and I think one day you're going to be coaching me, and then that's something I look forward to knowing. Like coaching me in self-discovery and wealth attraction, like that. You're right. There is a barrier for me about getting more wealth and I'll tell you more at another time. But it's because I've always had the employee mentality, and I've never had to work to attract anything. Like I just did my job, and it just came to me. But now I just feel like that number is very intimidating. It's like, well, how do I get that number? I mean, I just used to do whatever I did and it would come. So I'd love to understand a little bit more mentally how I'm blocking myself from it. So I look forward to that. And
Yeah, and I also want to thank you, Fondy, for sharing your story. And I'd love to get your comments. People who are watching or listening, please send me your comments. If you have similar experiences in your health journey you want to share, let me know. You can always contact me at cindy@bechamphealth.com, and I'll put all the links below. Thanks so much, Fondy.
Thank you so much, Cindy.